Getting ready for the Dogs in Michigan. Dean Legge met the Barry, getting ready for signing day. There's a lot going on, Matt, and we'll just jump right into it. A lot of travel this week for the Georgia coaches, trying to secure. They're really in a fight with Alabama and Texas A&M for the number one recruiting ranking. Where are they at this week in terms of all that?
Yeah, they've got a handful of spots left. They really have been all over the country. I've been trying to figure out Kirby's flight schedule plan because he's in one state one day, another the next, or within a few hours. So he's seen a lot of their commitments so far. There's over 20 of them right now. I think they're sitting at 24, 25. But there's a lot left. There's 5 days now until signing day, and they're going to have a lot of guys on campus this weekend for official visits. Some of the top players in the country are going to be in town. So massive, massive recruiting weekend this upcoming weekend. And this is when Kirby Smart and his staff does their best on the recruiting trail at the very end, face to face with the kids and the family. That's how they lock in. And I know no one really wants to talk about recruiting right now after the loss to Alabama, but that one loss is not going to make a kid change his mind between now and signing day, and you still have to recruit. Obviously, it's half of Kirby's job is to get the kids, the other half is to coach them up. So it is a big deal, and they're going to push for. Again, they're already going to have one of the top classes in the country. I did 2 videos on it earlier this week, breaking it down. We have a giant recruiting board over on Dawg Post, pretty much everything you need to know. A lot of these kids are going to be early enrollees. They are going to sign next week, so on Wednesday, and they're going to have just about everyone signed in this class that they're going to sign. So exciting times for sure.
Yeah, and listen, you can get 2 months of Dog Post right now for $2. That deal is running out, so make sure there are a lot of people taking advantage of it, but you need to make sure that you do too. Right now, we've got about 6 days to signing day. I don't know when folks will be watching this, but let's talk just about one guy in particular because there's been a lot of discussion this week about quarterbacks. You and I have watched Gunnar Stockton play what multiple times. I don't know how many times I've seen it. It's more than a few.
Yeah.
And what are they getting? Because when folks think about when folks think about classes, quarterbacks are kind of the marquee thing. I mean, if Alabama doesn't have Bryce Young, I don't know if they beat Georgia the other day. So what what about Gunner? My issue was always that he was not as tall as I would like him to be. But the longer I've watched him play, the more he's grown on me. He just makes a lot of plays, man. And it doesn't matter if it's against
Yeah.
people in the mountains or people from Atlanta.
He's made more plays than any quarterback in Georgia high school football history. He has the records. He's been doing this since a freshman. So he's a kid that a lot of people have heard about for years now, a lot like Trevor Lawrence. I mean, this kid was in one of the SEC shorts, skits like last year. So he is a big
That's
deal.
true.
And I mean, he's been around a while. So, but number one, he's a guy that can run. And we know Kirby loves Stetson's ability to run. That's probably the biggest reason why he's in there. And Gunner can absolutely do that. He's thick, especially in the lower body. He's 200 plus pounds, really quick and explosive for 200 pounds, but he's falling forward. When he makes contact with someone, he's not falling backwards. He's a guy who's running through a linebacker, breaking tackles with his legs, taking off. He's accurate. He's been working with some of the top trainers, quarterback trainers in the state for a long, long time now. So he's fundamentally sound. He's got great footwork in the pocket, but the guy makes a lot of plays. He can turn a busted play into something and chunk it deep. He loves throwing it deep. He doesn't have the arm strength of a Matthew Stafford, Jacob Eason, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, but he is accurate and his arm is good enough to play at Georgia one day. I think it's probably better than Jake Fromm's, better than Stetson Bennett's. Again, accuracy is something that they have to kind of work on as they get there. Brock Vandegrift is a guy who we both really liked, and I think he has all the tools to be very, very good. But that first transition is always a really, really tough one, and I think experience is another reason why Stetson has been in there for so long. But Gunner, can make the plays, running, throwing the ball. We've seen him now, and he's a top 100 kid in the country. I'd probably rank him, between 60 and 80 in the country. I mean, he's one of the best players, quarterbacks in the entire country. So a lot of teams would love to have Gunner coming in, and I think Kirby Smart is very happy with Gunner Stockton being his quarterback signing in this class.
I mean, he really can play, and I so I saw him originally, I think when he was a sophomore, and it was not overwhelming. I mean, it was good, but over time, he always made plays, but I think he looks more comfortable now. In terms of Brock's first year at Georgia, obviously a strange first year, still dealing with COVID at the beginning of it. But your first year, when you get back after your first year, for me it was sophomore year in college. You are I don't know if you're a different person, but you are more confident. You've dealt with things, and you've gone home for a particular amount of time in the summer. And when you get back, um, I don't
You're
know.
hungry,
Well, it's
like you're ready
easier.
to get there.
It's
Yeah.
easier. I mean, it's overwhelming at the beginning. I'm just going to tell you. I think I've said this a lot. It is an overwhelming thing, and I don't feel like what we did was extremely complex. For a quarterback in the SEC, it is going to be a lot. And Gunner is not raw. He is a developed quarterback, and I think for him the learning curve is going to be how can you meld yourself into what's going on at Georgia. To me, that speaks to how intellectually advanced Jake Fromm was in football terms. That he could come in and be as steady as he was his freshman year. We saw by his senior year that the physical tools were not ideal for him winning the game. Um, I wanted to transition to this real quick. I don't know if you watched it live, but I just watched it on tape. And the Bama game from a couple of days ago, Bryce Young's mistakes didn't hurt Alabama. When he threw off his back foot, it didn't hurt them. He had some throws that were certainly very pick six worthy. They were tipped into the air by Nakobe Dean twice. Um, his mistakes didn't hurt him. His legs helped Alabama, I would say, dramatically, at least three times. And then there were two blown coverages that led directly to Alabama scores. Your feet matter. The way you play quarterback matters. All of it matters. And we have seen guys who are, the Gunnar Stockton types. I think he could come in and win games for you at Georgia. I'm not sure I felt that way all the time. I am not pumped up about his height, but as being 6'5", 250 pounds, I have a prejudice towards larger people, I guess, right? Um, and
Football it's a
it
big man's game.
is. It is.
Yeah. Bryce Young is not big, and you
No.
can win at this size for sure.
Yes.
Um,
I thought you were going to say
but
Brock Bowers because
he's a big dude. That's a big guy.
he was
Um,
unstoppable.
Listen, Michigan's got a tough defense. I don't think they're going to be able to stop Brock Bowers. That's what I wrote before the Alabama game. Get that guy the ball. I loved it when they threw it to Darnell Washington in the end zone. I've been waiting for that to happen since I saw him play. So they've got some weapons. So I do think Gunner could do well because Stetson took them undefeated the entire regular season. Gunner Stockton absolutely has the tools and the ability and the talent to do the exact same thing in a couple years.
Yeah, he's more gifted than Stetson is in terms of playmaking ability. He's bigger than Stetson. Stetson doesn't lower his shoulder. I'm not sure I'm pumped up about Gunner Stockton lowering his shoulder all the time. But in the zero-sum game that is recruiting, when he goes to Georgia, he's not at South Carolina. I think he would have helped Carolina a lot, actually. And I don't think it would have gotten them to Atlanta, but he would have helped them a lot. And
he would help Auburn a lot.
Now he could have gotten Auburn to Atlanta. I think it's a different situation. I mean, he is a more composed Bo Nix, I think, and not as tall, but a lot of the same. Well, Bo Nix is, I would say, certainly more athletically gifted in terms of speed, but Gunner
quicker,
and faster. But Gunner seems to understand when he's supposed to do a particular thing. That's the part for me. I think Brock Vandergrift has coming out of high school was certainly more raw than Gunner to me.
Well, I think they both can play quarterback. And I've said that about Brock for a while. I think you did too. And I think Gunner can play the quarterback position as well. So they've got him coming in. The wide receiving core that they're bringing in is not elite. I don't think there's any killers. right there.
And
But they've got
that's
two
the
pretty good
one
running backs.
place in this program that it got better, and now it's like, well, this class is not unreal, you know. And if they want to, George Pickens is playing his final games at Georgia, I would imagine. And you need a George Pickens and a Burton in every single class. That would Lad McConkey would help too, and a Brock Bowers. They have receivers at Georgia right now. This class is not doesn't appear to be loaded up with them.
Yeah, I mean
It's
injuries
loaded up.
happen, but if you did have George Pickens fully healthy and Blaylock never gets hurt, Kieris is a senior and he never gets hurt. If everyone stays healthy the whole time, yeah, this group is loaded. But it's never going to be that way, and it wasn't that way this year. But the guys they're bringing in are good. I don't expect them to really come in and blow anyone away or play a lot year one. But they're guys who can develop and make some plays down the road for sure.
Well, they have two right now, what I would say very good young receivers in A.D. Mitchell and Lad McConkey. Just in terms of ball catchers, Brock Bowers is the most dangerous person on this team. I don't know what the future of Eric Gilbert is. He, someone probably needs to ask about Eric, but there's been so much going on this season. There is another thing I wanted to ask you about, which is the early signing day. There's been a lot of back and forth here, Matt, with the NCAA. You can tell there's frustration at the SEC level about this thing being where it is in December. Um, Coaches are getting fired earlier, which, I mean, okay, that's the institution's fault, I would say. But where would you put signing day if you had your way? Would you go back to what it was, or would you maybe put it in early or middle January? I mean, the calendar for college football is really goofed up, man. Just being honest, it's not ideal.
Yeah, I would do it in January. I know at first, the first year they did the early signing day period, a lot of the parents liked it because they didn't want the drama of going through it through Christmas and New Year's. They wanted
Yeah.
the process over with. So I get it. From that point, they can sign, enjoy all that. Then a lot of them enroll early in January. They don't have to drag it out until February with more visits in January and all the drama leading up. But when coaches are getting fired days before signing day, and you've got to build programs from scratch and you have to sign a class in a week and you're dropping kids and trying to meet with kids last minute, it's crazy. And so from that standpoint, yeah, a lot of kids do get kind of screwed over. It happens every single year. Kids are told last minute, hey, you actually don't have a spot when you did have a spot for months or over a year. So but they're not hearing about that a week before signing day unless there's a coaching change. Usually, the weeks leading up to it, there's no conversation between them and the staff. They figure it out on their own. Hey, I need to go somewhere else. But it's definitely a two-edged sword. I would put it in January, and maybe not allow visits through Christmas and through New Year, so everyone can kind of take a break a little bit. And then maybe the first weekends in January, do final visits, and then maybe in mid-January, do a one big signing day. You don't really need one in February. So you could have two. I mean, you could have one instead of two if they did it right. But I mean, especially this year with so many guys getting fired and from big time programs too, it's really put a lot of kids in a bind.
Can you figure out what's going on at Florida with their recruiting right now?
They dropped apparently Jaden Gibson, the wide receiver. That's what I'm hearing. The quarterback
They
Napier
dropped
didn't
him.
like.
Did you say
I
they
think
dropped him? Okay.
Yeah, I think the Napier came in and said, "You're not my guy. You're not my guy. You're not my guy. I've got 6 days to go find a guy that can help me out day one." And so if these guys don't fit his style, you're at a big time program. You're not going to accept a kid and put him on scholarship without a real plan to use him. So he's going to work, and he's got a big 6-7 days ahead of him to sign the best class he can, keep the guys that he can work with and likes on board. But it hasn't been there hasn't been a ton of success really. But he's going to go after some kids. And I think in the future, we're going to have to see more Georgia and Florida battles. He's a guy who came in, wanted to lock up the state. We hear from new coaches all the time, especially on the recruiting trail.
What?
He wants to, as much as he can. He's got Miami and Florida State there, and Georgia's obviously going to get them. But he wants his top targets in Florida.
He didn't say lock up the state.
Gators. His plan, that's his idea. Lock up the guys in Florida that he wants. And a couple of those guys are Georgia targets right now. So that he's trying to get in on. He's not going to get anyone flipping from this class. But in the future, he's going to go after some of the very best in Florida and try to keep them in state as
Well,
much as he can.
that's the. I mean, yeah.
It's tough down there.
I mean, like that should be the plan, but it's
Yeah.
easy. It's like I'm going to lose 10 pounds before Christmas. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I
Now
don't
you got
know
to go
how he's
do
going
it.
to get there, but that's what I've been told is the mindset that, a
Well,
lot of
good.
in-state
I mean
recruiting.
that's good,
So,
but this current class is a train wreck, and
yeah.
I don't actually
Yeah.
fault him for. I think you've got to get who you feel like fits your system, um, but you've got to get someone to fit your system. That's the thing is that I just I have not looked for the reaction of the Florida folks. This thing, I think they're giving him a pass to some degree, certainly a pass they would not have given Dan Mullen. But he's going to have to pull some rabbits out of his hat. I mean, if they're at 6 or so right now, you really do need to sign 25 every single year, or you wind up, with what happened to
Yeah.
Clemson this year. And that's a good question too. I mean, how is Dabo going to pivot this thing after losing both coordinators?
He's got a lot of patchworking to do. He's
Yeah, that's a
kind
good
of
way to
got to
put it.
start from scratch a little bit. He's losing a lot of guys.
I mean,
Clemson doesn't.
we've seen this
Yeah.
at Georgia, and it didn't really matter that much. We've seen it at other places, and it does. But I think to
Yeah.
some degree, Kirby, has rotated through coaches pretty effectively over time. Dan Lanning assuming the role after Mel Tucker left, um, that worked out pretty well so far, I'd say. I mean, can Dabo
Yeah.
replicate that?
He's going to try. I think he's going to need a little more Dabo magic. I think he needs an excellent defensive coordinator to come in and help him. He needs a lot of help because he's still rah Dabo, right? Dabba
Yeah,
Dabba
the the
Dabo. He's
the,
still
the
that guy. He needs a lot of help, and he needs good coordinators and coaches around him for
right.
Clemson to be Clemson what they were. He also needs a generational talent at quarterback, which he was blessed to have
I mean
twice,
that
and he doesn't have one right now. That always helps out.
there's going to be
Kirby
a
Smart could use one of those right now
oh
too.
sure
But
yeah there's going to be uh, Dean reacts Twitter one of these days from all these statements. I mean, he needs a generational quarterback. I mean, don't we all? This is
yeah,
like
but he hasn't won one without him, and he got two pretty good ones, and he thought he had one
Kirby hasn't won
with
one. I mean, it helps to
yeah,
have generational
yeah.
players. Who is a generational player on this Georgia team? N'Kobe or Jordan Davis? It really is a collection of the parts that's so difficult to deal with
Yeah.
Georgia. There's no one player that you have to
Well, at
deal with.
inside linebacker, they're butt kiss after butt kiss. I
Yeah.
mean, Jamon Dumas Johnson could come in and light it
Yeah.
up too, right behind N'Kobe Dean. I don't know if there's another Jordan Davis like kind of massive mountain like that behind him.
Doesn't
So
seem like it.
probably Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan, I
Um,
think is a maybe we use the term generational too often. I don't think you're going to see that many guys like Jordan in the next 15 years. Generation is not 10 years. That's a decade. Generations stretch further than 10 years. Uh,
is that
uh,
20 years, 30? I mean,
30 is a bit long. It's like for instance, you're a millennial, correct? And
yeah.
I would be technically Gen X, although very close to millennial myself. And there's different things about different generations. I don't want to give a Mike Leach Halloween candy like speech right now, but generation, and Dylan would be a Homelander or the generation sort of after you. And we are not all 10 years apart necessarily, although what am I, about 14 years older than you, unfortunately? Is that right?
I think so.
We're not going to do
Yeah.
ages. We
No.
look
I mean,
we look basically the
yeah.
same, I would say.
I think we both look younger than our age, though.
I agree with that.
I would say that.
I
Yeah.
agree with that. When was the last time you recorded?
I mean, I'm friends with the guys at the local gas station. They know me by now, so that's not really great to say, I guess. But they're like, they wave when I come in. What's up, Matt? You got the regular, and I
Oh,
put,
man.
whatever on. So I don't get carded there, but at restaurants, I do
Do you?
most of the time. I
That's
think so.
interesting.
I think a lot of them have policy, but
Right.
if I know my boy at BP, he's not going to make me take the wallet out.
So I got a quick Dan Schmatzer basketball story from Coker College from back in the day. Speaking of the local grocery store, so it was Monday after a weekend. We had gone we played on the road and lost, and we had practice that Monday, and we had not had we couldn't have practice on Sundays because of the 20-hour rule. And coach came in, and right as everybody's getting ready, you could tell he was pissed off, man. Like he normally didn't. I mean, he wasn't always pissed off. This time he was. And he said he had gone to his gas station, and the guy that worked there told him that a lot of guys from the basketball team had been in there and got a bunch of beer. And then he just started screaming, "Did you
What a
just get?"
snitch!
Well, yeah. Did you just get sloshed? Did you just? Did you just get? And he just kept screaming it at us. And I mean, I was thinking, yeah, I think the whole team basically did, except a couple of people. And that was not a fun practice. But yeah, we
Did you just roll in there with
suffered.
the jerseys on? You got names
No,
on the back and
well,
everything?
it was.
No.
I mean, I think it was pretty evident that the guys were
Okay.
basketball guys, and they're and I don't know why. I know who it was, Rob Rickman, who went in there and got them, and I don't know why they chose that gross. They may have been open, and that was it. So
Uh,
um, I don't know, but that's kind of funny that they know your name. Well, we had to deal with that too,
yeah.
but not
If
when we were
if you have a
30.
local gas station, you gotta be boys with your local gas station guy. There's always one close one that everyone goes to,
Mhm.
and you got to get to know the attendant there.
So I
There's
get
always some type of
gas.
perks. Yeah.
I typically get gas when I'm traveling. I don't really travel that much otherwise. I don't get
Mm.
so. But it sounds like you're a frequenter. What are they, a BP or are
You don't
they?
you don't have daily beer runs. We just got a new racetrack over here. Beautiful,
Those are
beautiful.
they.
That
Those are really nice facilities.
it
I'll tell you that right
it's
now.
it's big time. They got deals all the time back there in my favorite section.
So
But
you
there's of
are
course,
you are a get drinks at the gas station guy. You are not grocery store beer buy guy.
if I'm at Kroger for the one of the many things that I have to run and get, it's like half a mile, so we make frequent trips there. I'll pick some up there. Everyone's got the singles now, and the singles
Oh
are
yeah,
tough to
that's
pass
true.
up,
That's
and they're
true.
like $1 at Kroger. So if I'm picking up eggs and beer, bread, I'll grab myself a little, 16 ouncer on the way out. It's
Oh my
right there in
God.
front
Oh, it's
for a
at the
dollar. Yeah.
front.
Yeah, it's at the front. It's just screaming my name, Dean. Just grab one, man. Come on,
Why
we gotta make
doesn't
dinner. Grab
why
one.
don't how Coke will put names on drinks? I guess you can't do that with beer. I wonder if that's restricted. Uh, I don't
I don't
know.
know. They got
Uh,
the sliding doors. It's too easy
It's
at
so
times. Yeah,
convenient for you. All
too
right,
convenient.
it's convenient. Yeah, clearly. All right, what else is convenient is going over to dogpost.com. We'll see you over on the website. Thanks for watching. We'll see you there.